I'm Kat and I play red. We've been taking the time out of late to look at some older games, and something I wanted to do a video for a while is now coming up for a reimagining. So I thought it was about time that we looked at Ethnos. Now this is the old version from Simon called Ethnos. The new version is going to be Archaeos Society, and it's Space Cowboys that's releasing that. As far as I'm aware, it's pretty much the same game, but with a different theme. Let's have a look at how Ethnos plays. Compete to become the next Lord of Ethnos. To do so, you must earn more glory than your opponents by controlling the 6 kingdoms on the game board. You can only accomplish that by collecting scattered members of the 12 tribes and playing them in bands to gain control over the kingdoms. But be careful, your allies can be fickle. Any cards you don't use in your band must be discarded, creating opportunities for your rivals. You must also choose wisely who will be the leader of your band, as only leaders can use their abilities to help you. The player who gathers the most glory over 3 ages will be crowned Lord of Ethnos and win the game. Now, in the Ethnos box, there are 12 tribes, and there's these really handy setup cards. So you can choose 6 of these at random. We've got the other 6 here. Or however you want, you can choose them, which is really neat. For this teach, we're going to use the 6 basic ones, which are centaurs, dwarves, elves, wizards, winged folk and minotaur. And what we've done is taken all the cards from those 6 tribes and shuffled them up into one deck. Give each player 1 card, so there's my 1 card, and then we fill the display with 2 times the number of players. So we're set up for a 4-player, so we have 8 cards in the display. We can take these away for now, and we might have a quick look at those later, but for now they're out of the game, and this is our display. Now once you've done that, you're going to pop the 3 dragon cards into the deck. So you're going to split the deck roughly in half. Yep. We're going to pop 1 dragon in one half, and this is going to be the top bit of the deck. And then we're going to put the other 2 into the other half, which is the bottom of the deck. So pop these in somewhere and shuffle them up. Now, when the 3rd dragon is revealed from the deck, the round will end and you'll do scoring. So let's pop that there. We have 3 tokens on each area of the map, going from lowest to highest. We have these ones with the 4+, so they're obviously only used if you've got 4 or more players. If we're playing 2 or 3 players, we only score 2 rounds. But we have lowest going to highest on each of the 6 regions of the game board. Now in your turn, you can do one of 2 actions. You can draw a card or place a band. Currently I have 1 card in hand, it's a blue winged folk. When you draw a card, you can either draw it from the display here, or you can draw from the deck. You can only ever have 10 cards total in your hand, so if you have 10 cards at the start of your turn, you're going to have to place a band. Now, let's have a look. Blue is not that great because in the first round, we're going to score 0. So, let's have a look. I'm going to take some wing folk, so I'm going to draw from here, and that would be the end of my turn. So the turns tend to move very quickly on this. The second action you can do is to play a band. Now, a band is a group of allies that can be between 1 and 10 cards. All of the cards in a band must belong to the same tribe, so in this case all winged folk, or must be the same colour, so in this case it would be blue. When you place a warband, you're going to follow through a few stages. Let's have a quick look at what I want. Like I said, this blue is not very good. So let's say we have this. Okay, so I'm going to place this warband in front of me. So the first thing I do, place the cards down. We're going to pick one card to be the leader who goes on the top and sits there. If your band is large enough, you can then place a control marker in the kingdom that matches the card colour of your leader. So in this case, it would be grey, because my leader, the top card, is grey. However, you can now activate the ability of your leader. And the wing folk ability is I can place my marker on any kingdom on the board. So he is grey, so I could play grey. But what I'm actually going to do is place in orange. Now, to place a marker, you have to have fewer markers of your colour than there are cards in your band. So I have a band of 2, I can place 1 marker. However, if I already had 2 markers in that region, I would need a band of 3 to place a marker. So let's say I had that. That would mean I could then place there. So you need to keep an eye on how big your stacks are getting, because you need to match that size with your warbands. Any cards you have left in your hand after placing a warband are going to get discarded into the display and therefore become available for your opponents to take. So you need to keep an eye on that. Your band is going to stay in front of you and hopefully score you points at the end of the round. So in this case, I actually only had a band of 2 and that was there. So that is my band that stays until the end of the round. So let's have a look. I've got no cards in hand because I placed a band of 2. So what else? What would I like here? Is there stuff? There's good stuff here. So I'm going to take this. My opponents would go. I'll then take the elf here. Draw from the top. Let's get a few cards in my hand and have a look at what I can do. Let's just take some random ones. So in my turn, I can draw a card or place a warband. I'm going to place some bands. So here, these are both centaurs. So I'm going to place a band of 2. Purple is my leader. I don't have any markers in the purple zone, so I can place there. I'm then going to look at my leader's ability. If you place a marker on the board, you may play another band of allies immediately, which is rather nice. So let's do a red band, obviously. So red 2, and again I have nothing in red, so I can put a marker there. And the elf's ability is I can keep up to X cards in my hand. Now, X in this case indicates the number of cards in the band. So here I can keep 2 cards in my hand. I have 1, I get to keep this card, and play would continue. So we're going to have a quick look at the abilities of the 6 basic tribes. I don't want to do all 12 because there's a lot going on and that's going to take a while. So we had a quick look at some of these. The wizards here let you draw cards from the deck. So if I put a band down of 4, I'd still have to discard my hand, but I then get to draw 4 cards from the deck. So that's quite handy in terms of keeping your deck stocked. We had a quick look at the elves. These allow you to keep cards in your hand. So let's say 4 again. I play a warband of 4 and the elf is my leader. I'd get to keep 4 cards in my hand. The wing folk, again, don't forget these cards must be your leader to get the ability. So you can place your marker on any kingdom of the board. Now if you place a warband, your marker must go on the colour matching your leader. However, with the wing folk, it makes it different. You can pop it wherever you want. The Minotaurs basically give you a +1 for placing on the board. So if I'd placed a warband of 3, it would be 4 in terms of placing a marker. The Dwarves do something similar, but for scoring, we looked at those quickly. They're going to give you a +1 for scoring at the end of the round. So again, remember X refers to the size of your band. Finally, we have the Centaurs, which allow you to play a second band of allies immediately. Now, you could in theory play 2 Centaur bands and play a total of 3 bands. Obviously here, it's meaning you're not having to discard, so you're not giving stuff to your opponents and you're not getting rid of cards that you may want for later on. Now, as the dragons are drawn, you'll get nearer to the end of the round. So let's say, ooh, look at me. Oh, I drew a dragon. So that just goes to the side and I draw another card. Once the 3rd dragon is taken from the deck, the game stops immediately and it's time to do some scoring. So we're just going to set the board up with some stuff. Let's do this here. Now these tokens are actually really nice and look how beautifully they stack on top of each other. We really like that. They're kind of fun to play with as well while you're playing the game. Not that I encourage playing with your pieces, but we all do it. We all know someone who does do it. So let's say the 3rd dragon has been drawn and that is our board. The first thing you're going to do is discard all cards from your hand because they're not going to give you anything. Then you're going to do glory for the kingdom. So let's start up here. It's the first round of scoring, so we're only looking at this first number for now. So yellow has the majority there. So yellow would score 4 points. I like to flip these over so that I know which ones I've done and which ones I haven't done. That's a personal preference. We then move here and blue has the majority, so blue would get 4 points. Here, now this sucks a bit, blue has the majority, but it's worth 0 points for the first round. We'll come on to these other numbers in a minute. Down here, again, blue has the majority, so they'd score 2. In the red zone, obviously, I have control. Sadly, there's no blue. Sadly, there's no red, so I have to play black here. And here, again, I score 0. So we've scored all the regions, flip those back over. So I just like to do that so I know what I've scored and what I haven't scored. In the second round, you're going to score the first 2 numbers. So here, in round 2, blue would get 6 points. Second place would be between me and pink, so we'd actually share 4 points. Same here, yellow would get 4 and pink and blue would share the 4. In the blue area for round 2, blue would get 6, pink would get 0, and so on. Then, in the third age, you're going to score first, second, and third points for area majority. So let's bump these up a little bit, just as an example. So here, in the third round, yellow would get 8, pink would get 4, and blue would get 4. So it can be worth just dumping one piece in a region to get some of these extra bonuses. Once you've scored Glory for the Kingdom on the board, you're going to score points for your war bands. There's actually a handy little chart on the bottom of the board here that shows you what you're going to score. Don't forget that leaders can sometimes alter this. I know here we have the dwarfs, so the dwarfs actually get +1 on their scoring. So let's just quickly make another, let's make a green band. So let's have a look. Bands of 1 score you nothing. Bands of 2 get you 1 point each. So I'd get 1, 2, 3 here. Then this band here is technically a 4 for scoring. So that would get me another 6 points. At the end of the first and second age, you're going to set up like you did at the start of the game. All the cards go. You're going to set the deck up as before, but you're going to leave the markers on the board. So it gets harder as you go on. As we go into the third round, you're going to have higher stacks. You're going to need to play bigger bands to place. After you've scored the third age, the game is over, and the player with the most points wins. The joy of Ethnos is how quick it is. It plays between 2 and 6 players. There's quite a few variations for the 2 and 3 player version. You only scored 2 ages, and there's some other stuff. The higher player counts is where this is divine. It plays so quickly because you draw a card or you place a band. That's it. You have 2 options. Obviously at the start of the game, everyone's just going to be drawing cards. So your first few rounds, you're going to be like, oh, it's back to me already, which we like in a game. We obviously showed you the 6 basic tribes. There are 12 tribes in total in here. So there's loads of combinations you can work with. You can do it randomly. You can choose them if you want. I don't care. 12 tribes and you play with 6. So I don't know. I can't work out the number of combinations, but there's a lot. So from that point of view, the game doesn't get boring. It doesn't get stale. As is a very old copy, a lot of our cards are falling apart. We've said several times this needed a reprint, so I'm pleased to see it coming back. I don't know if it needed a retheme. It could have done with a bit of spruce up. This board is not particularly inspiring. The cover's okay. So I'm interested to see. I know you're developing archaeological teams to go out and collect treasure, is the theme of Archaeos Society. But as far as I'm aware, the gameplay is the same. So if there's anyone out there looking to get rid of Ethnos, preferably with a fairy deck, let me know. I've been after that fairy deck for a while. So that is Ethnos from Simon. Obviously the new one is going to be Space Cowboys. It's due out here in the UK in June, July time. So I don't know when other countries are going to get it. That's when we're going to get it. I know it's available for pre-order from several of my local stores. Check it out. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know what to do. Click like, subscribe, blah, all that stuff. Come and say hello on the other socials, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. That's the other one, Instagram, @iPlayRed. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.